Good evening, everyone. At this time, 6 p.m. October 10th, 2023. We'll call our Town of Windermere regular town council meeting to order. At this time, we will our pledge. Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, which stands one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice. For this evening's public comment, in this order, we have Tony Clark in your ability. If you would please approach the podium, make sure that you give us your full name as you want to. Is this working? Yes. Yeah, this is reference our objection to 212 West First Avenue's application for a variance by likely developers and a request for a further review. I'm really going to give you some background really. As a regular visitor to the town of Windermere, we always wish to have our own here. The people are friendly, the community is vibrant, and through various public events, the town and the residents are generous support for others less fortunate. Further investigation while negotiating the purchase of our home alerted us to the fact that the town of Windermere had development codes and processes that ensure that the town would retain its unique aesthetic appearance and seemingly be mindful of the impact on others of development projects. We attended our first town meeting and felt there was a fairness and reasonableness about the town council when dealing with matters concerning residents. However, in this case, we're extremely concerned that our views of the most impacted residents have not received the consideration they deserve, not least because of the impact on our home, loss of light, and the proposed breach of the Town of Windermere LDC. Let us be clear from the outset, we have absolutely no objection to the new home being built at 212 West First Avenue. I'd even encourage it. We do believe it should enhance the area, and if the code will positively impact our property and those close by. Indeed, we didn't raise any concerns at all while Mr. and Mrs. Powell advertised the property on Airbnb, as we thought this was likely a temporary measure to keep the property cash neutral before their developments. Then in late August, when the second variance request was notified to us and others by the town of Windermere, we, like the few directly affected, chose not to approve the request. Our reason was the expansion of the existing non-conformity just 7 feet 8 inches from our lot line, which is in reach of the Town of Windermere LDC. So with section 10.01.603 LDC not allowing for an increase in non-conformity through any expansion, and insisting upon a requirement for the structure to be fully compliant with the current LDC, we reasonably expected the various requests to be rejected on that basis, so decided not to attend the hearing on the 19th of September. Now you'll notice in the various request by the developers at point 5, amongst the positives thing, there's no reference to the non-conformity of 7 feet 8 inches on the left side bordering our property, and the proposed expansion being in blatant breach of the Town of Windermere LDC. On the 19th of September, 4 members of the 7-person Development Review Board, all in a quorum, met, and the case summary made clear reference to the non-conformity on page 4, and that the event of any expansion, the construction must be fully compliant. And I've listed that there where it says non-conforming developments or structures shall only be expanded or improved if the expansion or improvements is fully compliant with the requirements of this LDC code, and the non-conforming conditions not increased as a result of the construction. So it's clearly breached that, and any reconstruction must meet all requirements of this LDC. So any expansion or improvements to the existing single-family home must be fully compliant with the town's LDC requirements and cannot expand the existing non-conformity. The proposed expansion of the existing single-family home increases the non-conformity condition, not meeting the required setbacks, and is consistent with section 10.1 LDC. So in the case analysis, the DRB made no reference to the proposed development being rendered non-conforming by its expansion, which has a direct impact on our home.
Sorry, the time is up. I want to make sure that we're fair and even with all the other public comments, Mayor. I do believe he has written out these comments.
Yes.
And how much more
Just that.
Is that?
Okay.
There's probably about four.
I've seen it. All I'm saying really is, so, you know, we did attempt to engage with Mr. and Mrs. Powell, along with other neighbours. We asked what plans they had for the property. They've been more than happy to chat and come to some sort of negotiation agreement, whatever it is. We're very flexible on that. We understand what they're trying to do with the property. They said they didn't have any plans, they didn't know what they were going to do. And 24 hours later, we got the plans and the application for the variance. So that's been strange to us. But we are fully understanding what they want to do. We're supportive of there being a new home. We just feel that it's grossly unfair that the proposal clearly agrees with LBC, and yet for some reason, provisionally they think.
You're the house next door on the left, right? So you're the house next door to this particular property?
Yes.
Yes.
So we're on the forest first here.
You know, the old mayor's house.
And then, yeah, yes.
Great.
I don't think they're all that, the nice one.
Much appreciated in various, but. More Brophy.
Nora Brophy, 426 Magnolia Street. We have our run on the lakes this Saturday. Oh, those are cute. Is it cute? Yeah. We are happy to say we have sold out.
Yay.
5K event is completely sold out at 700. 10K, we have 6 more spots available. So it'll be the biggest race we've ever had. And we're very excited about it. Looking forward to seeing everyone Saturday. We also have 2 other items on the agenda tonight. We'd like your approval for the purchase of a new playset to replace the one at Palmer Park that we thought we would be able to keep, but we have found out in the past couple of months that it's rusting from underneath. So it has to be replaced. So we have like 42,000 to replace that specific one in the small kids section at Palmer Park. And we're looking for another 26,000 to put in a zip line, which is very exciting. Where in the area, Tom, where you had originally built stuff years and years ago and had to remove it. So one of the things we're looking to put in there is a zip line, which is something aimed at kids a little bit bigger, like up to 10 years old. So we're trying to do 2 separate playgrounds there, one for little kids and one for bigger kids.
Very
Thank
nice.
you.
Congratulations on the sellout.
Thank you.
The run.
Yeah.
Impressive.
Very
The entire committee on behalf of the town. Next up tonight, we have a special presentation and proclamation. This is proclamation for 2023, Week of the Family. And you guys will join me at the podium. I'll have that. Tonight we have a Windermere proclamation declaring November 4th and November 11th, 2023 as the week of the family. Whereas the town of Windermere is blessed with a multitude of families and essential part of the cultural, social, and spiritual fabric of our community. And whereas the town of Windermere recognizes that strong families are the center of a strong community, that children live better lives when families are strong, and that families are strong when they live in communities that connect them to economic opportunities, social networks, and services. And whereas everyone has a role to play in making families successful, including neighborhood organizations, businesses, nonprofit agencies, policymakers, and families themselves. Whereas during the week of November 4th and November 11th, 2023, the town of Windermere residents should take time to consider why families mean something to each resident, and to honor the importance of families and recommit to enhancing and extending the special connections that support and strengthen them throughout the year. Whereas during this week, we urge residents of the town of Windermere to join other agencies and organizations throughout the county to honor and celebrate families. Now, therefore, I, Jim O'Brien, Mayor of the town of Windermere, do hereby proclaim the week of November 4th, to November 11th, 2023, as the week of the family in the town of Windermere, and urge all citizens to share in this occasion.
Give you this proclamation this evening, and if you guys would like to have a photo, if you'd like to make a quick comment, you're welcome to do that as well.
Windermere has been supportive of this for, it's our 20th year. We've been going through a rough patch since we got hacked at the beginning of the year, and we spent the year. So we're looking forward to our 20th year to do the celebration. But we're grateful for the support that Windermere always gives, and trick or treating in Windermere that you have for, but it's always a friendly, supportive place of families. So we appreciate that. Sorry.
The more the merrier.
Yeah.
We have 2 mayors in the house tonight, so that's a win. So,
Make fun of us.
in case we need a spare.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Can't go any further. Yes. Next up is the timed item, the public hearing. I'll read the ordinance and we'll open up a public hearing for any comment on this item. This is ordinance 2023-04, amendment to golf cart requirements. This is a second reading. An ordinance of the town of Windermere, Florida, pertaining to the operation of golf carts on public roads or streets in the town, providing findings, amending Article 3 and Chapter 1 of the town's code of ordinances affecting golf carts, by requiring that a person operating a golf cart on designated town roads or streets possess a valid learner's driver's license or a valid driver's license, providing for severability and codification. This time we'll close our regularly scheduled Windermere Town Council meeting at 6:12 p.m. and open up a public hearing at the same time. And anyone who wishes to speak on this item.
Maybe just
Any takers?
We can close the public. I have just a few comments that hopefully
Sure.
reconcile some of the issues that have been discussed. Again, this is just being in line with Florida state statutes with the age requirement of 18 and having a valid driver's license and or a valid form of ID. There are, again, as I reread and from discussions with either council members or members of the public, there are other issues that we have with this ordinance. One, you can't park a golf cart on the right of way. And some other revisions that might be necessary. So I'll speak with Chief Ogden and also look at other jurisdictions and how they address some of those issues and bring something back to town council. But then I'll wait till after you close the public comment, and then if you have any questions, I'll be more than happy to address those.
So when we bring those comments back, we'll amend this particular line, or we'll.
It'd be amending this, not this particular ordinance.
Right.
It'd be a separate ordinance that would have some of those revisions. Like you can park on the right of way. Some of the other issues might have to do with the sundown, sun up, as far as what's required on some of those golf carts. So we just need to tighten up a little bit.
For sure. We would see first on Main Street as well. There's 6 passengers. Technically, because there's 2 heights and not cheap.
You can get them tagged, as long as they're tagged, you can be on it.
Any public comment on this item?
Yeah, I got a lot of calls from people about this also. Thanks for addressing this issue, but one another concern was the sidewalk between the bridge and school. It's not 8 feet, I know that I read it 6 that, replacing 6 that, once it's 5 feet, once it's 8 feet, the 8 feet could be the new one. What's current, I'm not sure. But while we're doing those revisions, I wonder if perhaps we could press something, a temporary, until the bridge is done, until the mobile path is done. Some sort of access or allowability for people to get kids back and forth to school between the bridge and the school. I don't know. I don't know about there, maybe they cut through, you know, cut down like Butler and come back around that way, but I know they're gonna keep doing.
Right,
It's at the school, so.
understood. I'll wait till the mayor closes. the public
Okay.
comment.
Okay, so since there's no public comment. Close our public hearing at 6:15 p.m. and reopen our regularly scheduled town council meeting at 16:15 p.m. Council, at this point, you can have any questions, discussion, or comments addressed.
Another protocol with my time.
It takes like 5 years to hear the thing down.
I'm all for the statute, because even in front of my house, well, that's a couple of years ago, we had some people all back. It hurt research, so I'm all for this, but I'm the statute, I just want to make some concessions for that particular thing. And I don't know the answer to this, to be honest with you.
I think the new mobile path is gonna address that, but until that time it's stuck, because you can't really request them to dry out on the roadway, which is even more dangerous, so. We kind of, try to use officer discretion as we go through that right now.
Are you comfortable with that for the chief? I mean, one of my concerns is that we leave it up to officer discretion, it's not outlined in the ordinance, with it be. And then, you know, it kind of leaves you out there, you know, with the officer discretion sideways, in someone's perception. So that's kind of my concern. With, there's a lot of things that you get leave to your discretion and not enforced, but then again, there may be times when an officer enforces it for another reason. And that legally kind of leaves people. So I wanted to close those gaps in the discussion. So as we move forward, I'd like to, you know, just make sure the ordinance is tight and, you know, I don't want to say I want to remove your discretion, but I don't want to leave the legal for you to have some.
Understood, and, we can work with Mr. Smith and I'll find out.
Can you do the microphone a little better, not only for
How's that?
the record, and not only can I not see it here, I can't hear it either.
How's that?
Exactly. That's much better, thanks.
Did you hear that? I'll work with Mr. Smith and our town attorney, but I do understand, your concerns with that, we have the same ones too, but, we've left it up to that right now, but if we can tighten it up, or we can actually leave that provision in there until the modal path is there, we'll be glad to look at that.
We're also making progress on some of the things that we need to do to it, and there's infrastructure things that need to be accomplished to make this happen. The multimodal pathway in Newburgh are probably the largest of those. And I think those items will address them. Right, there's a gap between the two, and the next is not perfect.
Right. In the past, we've discussed, what is designated bulk or pathways, interior of town. There's several designated, but willows, banners, Sansias aren't specifically called out, they call our pathways, probably want to clean that up. Just so, right now, I think the ordinance says we can use this as whether it's governed by a homeowners association or and what the homeowners association approves. That opens us up to have differing enforcement governed by homeowners association.
So HOAs can only approve or disapprove or have their regulations for that particular their jurisdiction, I would assume. And I think that is because we didn't have the pathway to connect. And Molly, you worked on this with us way back when, so. Because we didn't have the connector, we did not include those other areas because. The HOA governed inside, but there really wasn't anywhere to go other than that at the time.
I think we kind of thought of them too, because you know, they're responsible for all their roads and lights,
Correct.
sidewalks and stuff. But, you know, I mean, if the town has any liability, then
All it would take would be a resolution to amend the map per the ordinance, so we can take a look at that as well.
That's fine. So, did you say you want to suggest tabling it for now, or do you want to move forward with the ordinance?
No. Move forward with this ordinance because it's specific to the actual Florida state statute changes, but the other changes we can bring back to town council consideration.
Yeah, we'll have a workshop and figure it out. Council, any additional questions, comments, or concerns? Seeing none, looking for a motion to approve.
Mayor, motion to approve ordinance, approve ordinance 2023, caveat that we come back and address the other.
Motion maker, Councilperson David, second, Councilperson Rose. Council, any further questions, comments, or concerns? Seeing none, again, voting Councilperson Stewart. Aye.
Right.
Aye. Okay, council, and carries 4-0. Next up, council, we have several meeting minutes, meeting 2, 5. Council, you can approve these as one item, or you can request that an individual set of minutes or discussion.
Mayor, motion to approve all meetings.
Person down, motion to approve all the meeting minutes.
Okay.
Second, Councilperson Williams. Questions, comments, or concerns, council? Seeing none, again, voting Councilperson Rose.
Aye.
Aye. Council. Item A, meeting minutes, 4-0. Two additional consent items up tonight, council. Number one is our 2024 election contract. Staff recommends approval. Motion approved, Councilperson Rose. Second, Councilperson Williams. That's name that. Any questions or comments? Again, voting with Councilperson Street.
Right.
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you, Council. Item 1B1. 4-0. Next up is item 2. This is the 23-09. This is a variance request of LLC, Eric Powell, 212 West First Avenue, variance to allow expansion of non-conforming site setbacks. Site setback rather attachments are a DRB recommending approval. I believe Brad, yes, or
Yes, sir. Thank you, Mayor and Council. Again, Brad Williams, for the contractor town planner. I think you have before you, variance, for 121 West First Avenue. And, as the mayor said, this was an existing house on this property, was built back in the 1950s. Currently, that house is non-conforming, specifically related to the side setbacks. For this particular property, the required side setback is 10.9 feet based on the lot width. And the existing house currently there is at 7.83 feet on the east side, on the side closest to forest. And 10.17 feet on the west side, which is closest to the vacant area, vacant lot. So those are the existing setbacks, and that those are not compliance. I will say the existing house in terms of the front setback, the rear setback, and all the other standards, it is compliant. The non-compliance is related to the side setbacks. So as the council may recall, just a few months ago, you did amend this portion of your code related to non-conforming structures. The change that you all made was you removed that 10% limitation on expansion. And in place of that, what the code now says is that any improvement or change to an existing non-conforming structure, anything new has to meet current standards and requirements in your zoning code. So that is the part of your code that applies to this request. The owner is Rika, Mr. Powell is the owner, and he's his architect as well. What Mr. Powell is looking to do is to renovate or change this building and make it into a full two-story building. As you see in the plans, I'll call it a rectangle building, and add to it. But in his plan, what he's proposing to do is to maintain those existing non-conforming setbacks. So his new plan for his new building would also be 7.83 on the east and 10.17 on the west. why this is a variance is because he's expanding that nonconformity by adding additional building mass within that non-conforming setback. That's not permitted, that's why he's coming forward for the variance. It's allowed him to expand that non-conforming structure as it currently sits. In terms of the other standards for this proposed home, just so it's clear, he is compliant with the front setback, the rear setback. He does meet the max, he's under the maximum allowed floor area, but he does meet it. Also, he meets the height requirements as well, and also the impervious. So the only issue, again, with this house and with the other one is related that it doesn't meet the side setbacks. Is what the issue is and the reason for the variance. In terms of our public noticing, we did send out, let me back up real quick. There was a reference that this had been previous, this is the second time. I do just want to make clear, so they did submit a variance originally several months ago for a different house, not like this, that had other issues, and we had issues with the floor area and other things, so that one was withdrawn. And they came back with this plan, so this is actually a second plan, and then we re-noticed this plan, because it was very different from what was initially submitted, so that's that statement about it too. But this is the one that's in front of for consideration for approval. But with the second notice, we did send out to the surrounding property owners, we see 4 in support and 5 in objection. 2 of those 5 are adjacent property owners. Mr. Clark was one of those, who is adjacent there to the east, in Mayor Broom's old house. And then Ms. Lopez, who is adjacent to the south, in the back of the property, That's also important. This property has an easement across Ms. Lopez's property at 110 Forest to the back of that, to the back of 121 West First Avenue. And the reason for that is the existing house has garage on the back side and provides that access to the garage. So there is that easement in that location, but she also did submit her objection to the request. With the Development Review Board, they did review this at their October meeting, based on their discussion and everything that they had. The DRB did recommend approval of this variance with 2 conditions. One condition is that easement be eliminated, be removed, because they are, as part of this project, they are removing that new garage from Garden 385. And the second condition is a septic system would be the advanced system with the higher treatment, which is actually just so everybody's aware that is a current requirement now in the state law. That's required for all septic tanks now here in the town. So those are the 2 conditions that the DRB did recommend. The vote was 3-1 on that recommendation. I was about before the meeting. One of the questions that came up that I'll address now was about Mr. Clark's property next door. He does have a current permit for an addition to his home, 5AC, it's under construction, they get permitted. His house, based on the survey that was submitted with his permit, as well as the permit that was issued, on that adjacent side property line. His house sits at approximately 17 feet on the one end and 15 feet on the other. On his property, his setback's a little bit different, his requirement, because he's a non-contiguous corner lot, so he's required to do 15 on that side. But he does, his current house and his addition he's doing does meet that 15-foot setback from that property line. And I will say it's a little bit deceiving if you look at it, because there's the bushes of the vegetation through it, but he does meet that setback. With that, that's my brief presentation. Be happy to answer any questions you have.
I have a question in terms of the existing. Let me phrase this right. So the existing portion that is non-conforming. Does the length of that particular wall increase or decrease with the new plan?
It stays the same. It's what they had it decreased.
It just only becomes higher. But that particular length is not changing.
They're still maintaining those same setbacks as the current house.
Just comes up in front of all of us.
Right, I understand, I'm just trying to, the one that understanding will facilitate some conversation, I suspect, well, asking.
But question, Brad, that rear garage section is going to be demoed, right? So
The rear garage will go away. That will no longer be.
that's that floor plate goes away as well. So That distance actually overall decreased, but the floor area of the house remains.
Right, floor area of the house, so I guess what I'm asking, is the linear footage, of that particular non-conforming wall, is gonna be shorter than. Yeah. By slight, yeah, so that. Yeah. Wherever that provided is.
Right, I did notice that there's a water on the side of the home.
Mhm.
Is there a requirement to be offset from the house for the water?
No, so not with the town, we have no requirement.
Okay, so, I couldn't tell from the photography of the plan, whether that garage is part of that existing structure now or was in, condition.
The new proposed garage?
You know, the garage that exists.
Oh, the existing. I am not 100%, but I believe it was attached. I believe it was attached.
And the plan shows that they're gonna install a garage door into the face of that, existing structure.
Well, into the renovated structure, it'll be in the front, the front on what's
So there are good modifications to that end of the facility.
right, so they removed the garage in the back and they'll have garage in the front now on Western Avenue.
So on that non-conforming side, they are at the end of the floor plan, they're gonna put a garage door, they're gonna build a second story. So it's, I would assume that extensive modifications.
Yeah, because how that, home currently exists, there is a second story section on that side, but it's not encompassing that entire floor plate on top of it. So when we look at the setback, we look at that overall expansion of the house, and because it's expanding that non-conforming setback. For him not to have to do a variance, his side would have to be at least 10.9 feet away from those side property lines. What he's doing now.
We initially made this modification, I think it was because we had repeatedly approved home remodels that were more than 10%, but I think I'm correct in saying this, that if there was a setback issue, and it didn't change in the renovation, and changes were going on in another location and they were gonna all meet code, then we thought that was okay.
I think that was council's intent, it was because 10% was so low that you couldn't even remodel.
Right.
Sometimes, that was not conforming, and that was not the intent. I think. The difference that, for me, what comes up with this particular modification is that it is a major modification and you're essentially rebuilding an entire house at that juncture. I mean, what is it, and again, it comes down to that hardship portion.
Right, you could take down the wall and move it in 2 feet, solve the problem.
It's a trap by pointing mandate.
When you look at the rest of the modifications to that of the house, it's significant, moving that wall.
Yeah, and it was, at least when I voted for this change in our code, because everything, they weren't touching. I mean, if they added like a 2-story structure that was set back, so it may.
Yeah, you could
maybe justify it.
I think that, your interpretation is, I share your interpretation.
And the fact that the neighbors closest are being accurate. Sensitive.
I also wondering that, and I see we talking about it there, we've done that slide decrease. But I keep looking at this bolded and highlighted. Amendment that we just recently made. And it said non-conforming development projects shall only be expanded or improved. Expansion or improvement fully comply with the requirements of this land development code, and the non-conforming condition not increased as a result of the new construction. Who wrote that? Well, I can throw it to the council and you all. Yeah, I mean, you did it, so. I'm just curious how I got to be solved.
Yeah.
I usually go to meetings, I usually do, I don't ask this question, if there's anybody or calling back out, but you can go to the meeting, so millions before I come here. But I don't know if they're using this space, so maybe some.
Unfortunately, I was not at that DRB meeting, William was there.
What was the, they were. They started in and we talked about it, with the wall and then going vertical. Then the easement part got brought in and that got a lot of traction, that's really. What you would call their hardship, access, emergency access, now they're having. Their easement is actually is live to a house. Is the. Yeah, what I think. And that's where it kind of it went. I'd like to, the applicant's here, right?
Yes, sir.
Would you like to speak on your behalf? Come up and talk. All right.
Here's your full name and address.
Sure, it's Eric Hall, 212 West First Avenue. House that looks good. So the picture that
I did not, I figured. Yeah, if you want to go ahead and give us some thoughts, comments on this.
So the hardship that we have is pretty much described in the picture. And you'll see that the house behind us that has an easement, it is the it's dry. So we can go by there just about any time of day and that driveway will be blocked. And you'll see the pictures there at a couple different times. So if we have an emergency and we had to get out, that was our access, our only access. I'm not really sure how we would be able to accomplish it.
And what is your right of way agreement state?
Be honest, I've never seen, I've never read into that.
When you purchased the home, there was no right of way agreement?
I'm sure there was, but it's fine, it's basically, it states that. I think they have to keep the driveway clear,
Right.
but. In an emergency, I'm not sure how you would fix that. If a guest came up there or something like that. Or maybe right now, we're supposed to keep it clear, and we can see in the picture that it's not clear.
You're replaying all the driveway coming in off first thing.
Correct. Off the front of the house.
When did you purchase that?
I think it was January. So it's not currently occupied. One of the other things too is if you look at there is a 2-story section on the house. That's gonna go away, that complete area is going away, it's just getting. So there's a deck currently on the front of the house, on the second story. That pretty much overlooks their living. So with our idea, no windows on that side of the house, period. Those are closets. So because we don't want to look at anybody's house. We want to look at the water.
Well, and there's certainly nothing in our code, includes building, a 2-story house. I mean, I think the issue per se is that it's a major renovation. It may just behoove you to be at the proper setback, and you can build anything you want. 2-story all the way up to 32 feet or 35 feet or whatever it is. I think that's what we're debating about. And then I understand the issue with the right of way, but it's not really the town's or council's responsibility to maintain that right of way access for you. That's a legal agreement that's built into your purchase agreement and deed restrictions. So,
Yeah, no, I understand that.
I appreciate the inconvenience, and certainly as we would do something, if we could remediate that for you, that would be fantastic, but. It's a lot of separate issues built into one request, so it's going to take a little time and process that out.
I understand that. Yeah, so the other thing is, if we were to step in 3D and create a deck on that side of the house, because the first floor can stay compliant. We would have a deck on the whole side of the house facing their house, which to me is worse than having a wall. And actually, what was it, Scott? What was the south facing? The south, as far as, yeah, we're here talking about light.
Oh, yeah, we're further away, like further.
So, yeah, we're further away from that, further apart, so we should have less obstruction, as far as light, things like that.
Right. Thank you guys, I appreciate the input. Brad, could I? So is the statement fair that if the second floor were moved in 3.5 feet or whatever, would it be? It still doesn't really make it conforming, does because it's such a large. I know, I'm on the spot, I was trying to.
Actually, we had a similar kind of question several years ago on Bayshore, where there was a second story addition. And the outcome of that was they did step it in, that second floor addition, so that part met the required setback.
I remember that on 6.
Yeah, so that could happen here, because like they said, you know, the first floor is where it is, you're not making it any larger. If they make that second, they step it in, whatever, 3.5 feet, whatever that is, that could be compliant.
But it would still be non-conforming. Which is included by our latest.
No.
No,
It would,
It's
because they're not expanding the existing non-conforming, the new construction meets the standard.
construction.
Right, and that's the way the code is written, as long as the new construction is conforming, it's okay. The old stuff is say as it is.
The first floor house today.
Yeah, I think the issue is always, the issue is making the non-conformity larger. Right. You're not making it that, that's the way you're making it taller. And I think that's what's, causing the discussion.
but if it's stepped in, so the new construction all met.
And I think it's technically that.
Very
upset. That is.
I just wanna, they wouldn't even be here for.
I think
That's through the aesthetics. That's what we can do it, but
That's not a hardship.
I don't know, but I'm just saying it's aesthetics and. That would do it, pretty well, look at. That's a tough one.
Well, when nobody bought a house, they didn't know it. We made it a little bit.
Absolutely. Yeah. Tom?
I hate even telling them what to do with their house, but I really do, I was one of those kind of guys, about that stuff, but. I really care a lot about people's opinions that live around the changes, more than about mine. It doesn't affect me, to be honest with you. I take into consideration a lot what people say that are affected. That in conjunction with was obviously black and white is how I think I see it. But I really do. I don't want to squash anybody's dreams, I don't want to tell them what to do their houses. I know there's a way to do it, but I have to, in this case, I have to say that in regards to that, just so obvious right in front of me right now, the opinions that people are affected by it the most, I have to run the situation that.
I do have one additional question. Is this going to be a residence or is it going to be an Airbnb?
No, they did, no. And we never did that. We never did use it as an Airbnb. We did post it, but we did have some requests for looking, but we didn't. Yeah, it's gonna be ours.
I'm sorry.
I don't think we allow Airbnbs here.
I don't know that we can not.
I think they have to put us on some regular.
There's a back and forth, it changes all the time, so it's really hard to sort of. I don't want to take it here, I just thought it was a legitimate question to ask. All right, council, I think we've discussed it, I think it's up to council to make a motion to approve the decline.
I'll make a motion to decline.
Motion to decline by Councilperson Rose. A second from Councilperson Data. Again, voting with Councilperson. I motion to decline. Aye.
Alright.
All right, the variance is declined 4-1. Next up, item 1, Roseanne Solutions LLC, this is for hurricane FEMA reimbursement. Staff recommends approval.
Mayor, for quick clarification,
Yes, sir.
4-0.
No, 4-1.
What did I say?
4-1.
One, yeah, making a vote.
Just clearing up the record.
4-0. Thank you. I thought I even to item 1, I think that's how we got that, so item 1, Roseanne Solutions LLC, hurricane FEMA reimbursement. Staff recommends approval. On your end, there's no on the side.
Yes, sir, I am.
Thank you.
Absolutely. So Rostan has been doing a fantastic job in getting the reimbursements back for us. Thank you. We just heard this morning, or I just heard this morning, we received an additional $38,373.67 back. So they've been doing a fantastic job. What I asked them to do this time, though, instead of kind of piecemealing it, we started with 25, we added an additional 25. I said, what's it going to take us to get to the finish line? Because I wanted to come forward with that, get that approved so we can get that completed, and we hopefully will not be back again to ask for anything further. Rostan is saying that 40,000 will get them over the finish line for these FEMA projects, they believe. So I'm hoping that you will go ahead and make the motion to approve this evening, because they are working really, really diligently, and I want to keep them going.
Are we still under the 5% cap?
Yes, they promised me that they're still under that, and they feel confident we'll get reimbursed for their work.
Okay, thank you.
Absolutely.
Any further questions, council?
So everybody understands, right? We get reimbursed. for-
Up to 5%. 5% of approved projects at the end, anticipated approved.
Okay,
5%.
I make a motion to.
Motion approved, Councilperson Rose, second, Councilperson Data. Any further questions, comments, or concerns? No. If not, we'll begin with Councilperson Rose.
Aye.
Aye. And I do think they are doing a good job. I was on the call with them the other day, and they certainly had all the right questions. Thank you for all the hard work you guys are doing on that.
Absolutely.
And being creative.
Yes, trying.
Item number 2 is IPO 134. This is Kimberly Warren. It's the Windermere Ward Trail mandated cultural assessment.
Yes, sir. So as part of this project, we are beholden to the agencies that are overseeing the release of these funds. Mike Woodward and I from Kimberly Horn had a call with them to see if we could get them to waive this requirement. They are digging in their heels, and they are saying it is absolutely 100% required that we do this cultural assessment of the area. So this is a specialized firm that has to do this type of work. So through Kimberly Horn, we'll be able to get the specialized agency on board to do this cultural assessment. If you have any further questions, Mr. Woodward is here this evening to answer questions.
I have one question.
They want to make sure there's no artifacts or anything of cultural, any items of cultural significance.
Yeah, so, this one, we did sort of a desktop version of this, and it was use GIS resources to figure out, are there any historical or archaeological things nearby that you should be aware of as we go through the design and the alignment? So, the next level of that is to hire archaeologists, so like Indiana Jones, to come out with shovels to dig to make sure that there are no artifacts. And based on our findings and our knowledge of like this corridor's railroad corridor, I'm pretty sure that we're not going to find anything of significance. And again, we did a desktop study back when we did feasibility for this several years ago. We try to meet this case in the Department of Transportation, but alas, this is a requirement that they are holding. And in order to get the funding, which is substantial, they do want to go through this process. But yes, archaeological and historical.
They're
things.
burial.
Exactly, we're not gonna find any sort of, for fossil.
Mummies.
Mummies. Is, are we gonna have to do? We're gonna have to do environmental as well.
So we've already done, the environmental assessments, and we did some of those early on, we did some of that as part of the building, some as part of the design. And we've already worked through those. So the group that we've worked with has committed to trying to get it as fast as they can. It's gonna push us out a couple of months from where we had intended to have everything in the department and ready by December. Now we're looking at early spring.
Thanks, appreciate that.
Yeah, I wish we could have done more convincing.
No, listen, I know these things, they come to the funding streams, I understand, it was a new one. That they're actually just randomly dig around out there.
Yeah. Shovels.
Yeah, so it'll be really about now. Any additional? Negative, sarcastic. Second from councilperson Williams, beginning voting councilperson.
And waste of money.
But the people who gave us the money tell us that waste, I guess. So that's okay. Listen, I'm super pleased that we are here, it's a 10-year process and everybody's been working hard, but again, it is like, wow, that's what I didn't see coming. All right, item number 2, IPO number 134 for Cleveland Farm carries 4-0. Next up are contracts. This is for Palmer Park Playground equipment. Staff recommends approval and Parks and Rec gave us oversight and overview of this earlier. Looking for a motion to approve, council. Motion to approve. Motion to approve, councilperson Data. Second.
Thanks.
Councilperson Rose. Comments, questions, or concerns?
I'm just excited about this.
I'm really excited to see how it actually works. It's like. You need to get some good insurance for that. I feel better.
That's my.
Mr. Mayor, I would like to make one clarification though, because we do have to follow appropriate procurement practices. So while I was gone, we did post this on Demand Star from September 19th to October 3rd to attempt to get 2 more quotes. We did not receive any, and we sent it out to over 250 playground equipment vendors, and there was no response. So I just want to make sure it's on the record. We did attempt to get 3 quotes.
You know why? I mean,
Well, I think it's just, they're working on big projects right now, and this would just be some small pieces of equipment. It might not be worth it, their time to try to mobilize and install. But thankfully, Parks and Rec Committee did a great job working with Game Time, and they're willing to come out and do it.
I think there's a business opportunity there in playground equipment for small and medium sized cities. Yes, there you go. We can go ahead and do councilperson Chris. Aye. Item carries 4-0. Next up is FM grant 4337297-A. This is West Second Avenue. Improvements and drainage. Staff recommends approval. Are we gonna present on this? Is anybody? Oh, we got Mike here. Come on, Mike. Let's do this.
Well, this is the grant application we've acquired from FEMA under the Hurricane Irma disaster declaration. And that was back in 2017. What Hurricane Irma did is kind of expose some of the deficiencies that we had on West Second Avenue. So the funding that we applied for is looking to rectify those deficiencies. So we'll be addressing roadway improvements, as well as drainage improvements to alleviate flooding that occurs, especially on the far end of the roadway. In addition, when we presented this to FEMA, we identified this as a critical roadway because it's one way in, one way out. And that if this road were to be severed or be damaged, there would be no way for those living down on the west end of West Second Avenue to back with if there would need to be a mandatory evacuation. So they saw that as a positive and a benefit to this project. We have an issued contract for this project, and we are essentially waiting for approval from town to execute. And we will move forward with procuring a contractor to build the improvements.
And Mike, and these changes and improvements will tie in and are planned to tie in to the previous improvements that we've made on Forest
Yes.
and in that Waseon Basin. Right?
One thing we're gonna do is we're going to mill and resurface those improvements that the pavement improvements we've already done in order to expand the service line so that the entire roadway had basically the same service line for first iteration.
Council, the additional questions for
Not for Mike, but, do we have how much of the money are we getting, how much are we?
I can give you those numbers.
Oh,
The total project cost is about $2.5 million. The cost here under the HMGP is federal is going to be 75% and town share is going to be 25%. So the federal share is going to be 1.9 mil and the town share is going to be 633,000. So it's a significant savings to the town if they were trying to do this project on a road.
Yeah,
and the road's gonna get a little wider.
We're gonna extend it to about 9 feet, which will make it a little more amenable as far as, cars get, crossing, in each direction. So we're 9 feet is really the minimum for the floor to be.
And we've had extensive communications with everybody that lives along West Second Avenue. It's a project that they've been really waiting for. As far as the monies that are gonna be used as the matching, we can use some of the ARPA funds that can be used towards roadway improvements or stormwater improvements, as well as some of the potable water system money that we just received from the state, 3.081.
So before we vote on this, I'll tell you at the Robbie German Windermere Foundation Fall Festival event, Valley Rover gave me a hug. So through this,
Wow.
any additional questions, comments, or concerns? All right, looking for a motion to approve, motion to approve, Councilperson Dad. Second, Councilperson Rhodes. In voting with Councilperson Street. Aye.
This is one of the longest running projects we've had.
Yes.
Yeah, this one, we're on the path, but we're making progress. And to be able to do this at 75% is that's good stuff. Thank you guys for all the hard work on that. I know that's something. Next up is item 2. This is Old Main Street realignment at 9th and 10th Avenue. These are drainage improvements, this is 45% plants. And I'm staff recommends approval and I'm approval, I'm assuming, and present on the site.
Mr. Fitzgibbon is here this evening to discuss this project,
And we got the town.
as is Mr. Gallo from Kimley Horn.
I think this is an outcropping from we had the approval on the IPO, this is really just getting to the 45%. We did have an opportunity to give some of the residents who were affected by the potential changes, so we've been able to review them and make modifications to get us to the 45. So tonight is really just asking you guys to allow us to move forward on to the 90%, and then we'll obviously have another come back to you all.
Council, any comments, questions, or concerns for John?
Just for there's been no significant. No significant, and most of it is from that exhibit that we initially submitted to you all. It's been mostly just getting good resident feedback and making modifications based on that.
Thank you, sir. Any additional information from John Howard?
No, I'll just say that, I think I have to recuse myself in front of my property, but, my husband didn't, John, and it's on the same page. Potential.
No.
Yeah, you can.
Councilmember Mills, you can vote.
Financially benefit that, I believe.
You can vote.
Okay.
If you want, I mean, if you can recuse if you have what you think is an appearance of a conflict, but you have no legal conflict.
My lawyer just told me it's okay.
Okay.
All right, so we are looking for a motion to approve.
Questions now, good time? That's a question on the.
So, yeah, so typically in the beginning, we would do this, but we can be informal here tonight. If you have a quick question, absolutely, just come to the podium though, and give us your name and address for the record.
Sorry, I was.
No, it's fine.
I'm Harriet Golly, and I'm at 1028 Main Street, so I enter and exit this multiple times a day, multiple times a day. What's the time frame for this project?
John.
I'm sorry, I didn't get.
What's the time frame?
Right now, I guess, once we have another probably 2 months of, design, once we're approved. And then come back to council, so that may be 30 days, so probably 3 months, and then obviously the bidding and whenever the town says we're okay, so, it could be 5-6 months.
All right, and everybody notices that the house is full now right there at 10004 Main Street. And has it been thought about the staging and how already I have access problems with this road and then blocking my access there? Is there been consideration about how that's gonna work together? So that's just kind of a comment. And is all the vegetation there gonna disappear? And it's gonna be just grass? I couldn't tell from the plans.
So I can't tell from the plans here, we'll ask you on that, but when it comes to staging, typically we'll work with the property owners there. As well as the contractor and make sure that we have a staging plan that makes sense for the project and minimizes the impact for those. John, can you comment on the landscape?
Yeah.
Okay, on the safety like too, though, it is important because we may have road closures that we'll have to do if we have sites coming across. So we'll work with you during that time for it to be contracted. But as far as the landscaping, yes, in fact, it would most likely be completely wiped out for us to be able to do the retention ponds and do the swales. And again, at that point, it would be incumbent upon the town to work with the residents locally to see what we may want to come back with.
We were told that they'll put in as much education or teach as much as they can because they know that it helps a lot.
And one last question, I didn't see on the plans any consideration for the sidewalk or for the wall that's gonna be in front of 10004 Main Street. And how that would affect the layout and everything, so in the safety of the sidewalk next to the retention pond, is that an issue? How deep is that retention pond gonna be, and does it need to be a barrier?
You're talking about the sidewalk that's on the
Okay.
yeah, but, no, the swale is not a very deep soil, so it's not going to be a problem, but we'll also have a flat area on both sides, part of it, so at least there's a flat base, so some of them be all sidewalk. We're not gonna go in.
Thank you.
Yeah, and just stay in close touch with John and staff as we move forward to make sure you get those updates. You can get those anytime. Great, thank you.
Being in and out of town is challenge these days.
I'll tell you. Families.
Well, no, I know, no, the construction.
Oh, just the house construction. How close are they, hard to tell, okay.
No, it's.
Mr. Cornelius did reach out to the contractor there earlier today and has already asked them to address the issue. So we did get on that.
Council, we are motion to approve. Motion to approve, Commissioner Green, Councilperson Data. Second. Thank you. Please. Any additional comments, questions, or concerns? Do not, voting Councilperson Reyes.
Aye.
Aye. Aye. Aye. And 2 carries 4-0. Thank you. Our formal business is the council. We want to kudos to staff. all the volunteers came on to support the ball, that's fantastic. I think everybody really enjoyed it, kind of felt that's right, guideline and everything, but hopefully everyone else can that. Comes on additional for us.
I would like to. So I just wanted to thank everybody up there for your services. I think it's tough making the right decision for our town, and it's time consuming, it's not always easy. So I really thank all of you for those two. And although I'm embarrassed to admit I'm a Floridian, I'm very proud to be a Windermere resident. And I wanted to also say that we had a great staff. They're not only conscientious and knowledgeable about their jobs, but they really care about the town and the residents. And I really hope you know that, because I hear it all the time, and working with you guys has been great. And Robert, that's because of you. You managed it, you hired most of these people. And I think that you've done a great job. I mean, we don't really know what goes on behind the scenes, but we can get to see the big checks when we bring them in, and that's nice. And I gotta tell you guys, I've been working with Tara and Teresa, and they have improved our finance system and our management of the finance system tremendously. And Robert, great choices. And then Diane, she's just like, yeah, she is like the backbone of that department now. Takes care of the Gazette agendas and organizing all of our events, and I think she really likes it. Very good. And then even our newest hire, Lily, I think she's become a good friend person. I think if you're a resident, you come up there and you meet her first, you feel very comfortable. Tanya, you too were a great hire, and you have organized our public works, and you're ready now to take on all these great projects that we're gonna be doing. We think. And Chief, you have probably met most of the goals you set the day that I interviewed you. You said even then what you wanted to do. I think that you have achieved those, and bringing Jason is absolutely perfect. And Dorothy, thank you. You've organized our records, you've got us up to date. This is a huge job that goes on behind the scenes. Great effort. And I know this because I do this, it's admin late at time, I'm working with these people. So, town's in great hands. I'll miss you guys. I really do.
I miss you too.
I wish you all health, happiness, and continued success as we move our way to these things.
We'll
And all you.
we will properly honor you at the appropriate time.
I'll be around, I'm already on activities and events here, so we'll see.
The thing about you, Molly, is that you have always, you've agreed, you've disagreed. You've gone back and forth on things that we weren't sure about. I think that, the integrity that you bring, the ability to hear both sides of an issue are a fine example to the entire community. You've always come when we called. And gosh, you've appeared as long as I have, and I'll tell you, it's gonna miss working with you day in and day out. But like you said, you'll still be here and we'll still put you to work. And but I think it's our loss. So, thank you.
So, also, Councilmember Rose, so what you're saying is.
So yeah,
Sorry, I just wanted to get onto the record, but I believe. From a personal and professional standpoint, I echo everything that you said towards us, towards you, and this council. This town would not have made as many strides as it had without your leadership and support. So thank you so much for everything.
I don't think I've ever said town council without saying your name. So, it's always going hand in hand, and I never know, when I see you walk past my house all these years. I thought, she don't have council, she don't have. I mean, I don't think that's. It's time we do. We'll still talk.
Oh, you know, now. That's a whole new world.
I hope this isn't out of line too, but I do want. It's not that you don't want to be up here and doing this, it's just that those new financial disclosure rules and laws are so deep and, I think that you're gonna be one of many that are impacted by those, and certainly appreciate and understand.
Yeah.
They're quite invasive and.
Yes, it is, so this is a volunteer position and, that's on his information in public records, so, and I appreciate, I understand. Now, in all these years, you know, I don't know anything money.
I know.
That's your cost.
Yeah, I got a couple of things to report. Next Tuesday, Elders Luncheon is back on for the year. So it'll be October, December, and then, February. April. This coming next Tuesday at 11. Also, on Wednesday, the 18th, Olympia High School will have their first homecoming parade. It will be right down Main Street. So, at 4 o'clock. It's a little earlier. I'm trying to get them to move it even earlier. They scaled it back, so it's going from 4 to 6, it's 2 blocks. So, 2 whole blocks. Well, 2 blocks.
Oh,
Not 2 hours. 4th to 6th.
Oh, that's what I thought you said.
Each kid can take about a half hour. They don't. And, I mean, they, up to this point, they have it in their park. They're not even allowed to drive on their own track. Because it's a special rubberized field, they can't drive on the track, they do circles in the parking lot, up to this point. So, it was approached by the principal, we talked to Robert, the chief, and kind of worked it out, but we're talking maybe a half hour, 45 minutes, so from Family Church's parking lot, that end, on the north end, down to 6, and then after.
There's a market they can do, right? There's market van,
I mean, it's full, not yet, so it's like, the organizer for the high school, she did Edgewaters last year. Where they marched 1.5 miles, and, 25-30 floats flowing there. But she's coming into this with, open eyes, keeping it small, so she doesn't burn any bridges. We want to keep it as simple as possible, so football team, marching band, homecoming board, maybe 1 or 2 points. So probably 100, 200 people total. Other than marching band.
Or we want to advertise it at all?
I think so, Alex.
Yeah, we'll be doing traffic advisories, for not only on our social media sites, but we have the trailers up for the race that's coming up Saturday, and I believe we're gonna keep it until after this event as well.
Thank you.
You want to control the traffic with garbage truck in front of it or they'll take good care of it, but that should be able to happen and those that is, and they're
Keep their expectations low, so they don't want to be smooth and don't think about it, so they do it next year. That's their goal is to do this. Not a one and done.
So all the families come and
They're putting out notices of where to park, where to stand, So, they're good, they're expecting 500 people. So, yeah, so not all that much.
Very well, good job, and that's what they did for navigating that. It's. You get to be.
Guy, I was in long way saying, Greg Anderson. We like him, very like him. We don't really do it. He's gonna be good at it.
Greg's a great guy and brings a wealth of experience. For sure, he's nice even here.
And we're already losing the members, so anybody losing by. Thank you. Say it again.
I was none.
That's what I don't recall.
For preservation board, that was a fit, this general, this is sort of one cool item that I thought, I have to read the town council, but for preservation board that's got flags, American flags for the schoolhouse and the town hall building. With the appropriate number of stars at the time, they were, so that was pretty cool. That would be, solar lighting. Really good. Cool item. And we had the project meeting, this Monday,
Thank you, sir. Staff. Robert, you want to start?
Sure. Again, thank you very much for everybody and all the volunteers for the Windermere Police Foundation event. The fall festival went on without a hitch. And again, a lot of volunteers and probably raised at around a little over $3,000 for the foundation, which is going to go directly back into not only our mission, but I think we're going to be assisting the Sea Cadets at some point as well.
Those guys are very strong volunteers.
Absolutely, that's the we want to keep it going. So we're trying to help them out as much as possible, especially with all that they do for the Town of Windermere. Soon, October and November and December are pretty much smart all year weekends. They're gonna be pretty packed, so with a lot of the events that we have Super Heavenly Beach after the run on the lakes. Then after that, we had music among the lakes. Then after that, we had the Rotary Veterans event. Then after that, we had the food trucks. Which I missed was in October as well. You have the food trucks, which is Halloween themed, and then after that, you have the Halloween hayride. But then we have Windermere on November, I think it's the 19th. And then you have the Thanksgiving break. So pretty much every weekend is going to be some sort of event. We're gonna do our best as far as traffic control and also the no parking signs, which I believe the residents do like. We'll be putting those up for all the events, and no live years to be quite a bit of this into that. But we'll do what we can to hopefully offset some of that. The Daddy Daughter Dance was this past Friday. I did not attend, but I heard it went off really well. We'll have the budget reconciliations in November. We had the naming of the Windermere Recreation Center courts to the Bowman courts last night, and we'll be bringing that to Town Council in November. We are expecting heavy rain on Wednesday and Thursday before the program being on Friday and Saturday, so the class kind of pushed up, so it won't impact the run on the lakes. We do have to do business impact statements and our review ordinances from here on out, but it's just pretty much a form. And typically when we pass something, it's not going to have a negative impact on the local businesses. We also have the Centennial Celebration Committee meet with the first meeting, and then we'll be bringing stuff back to the Town Council as needed relative to that, whether it's going to be a full year celebration or they'll do intermittent celebrations throughout the year. We'll come back to you on that. And we have the Shondaland annexation meetings on Monday and Thursday next week, and then we have the Shondaland workshop on October 24th as far as annexation. So again, as I said, it's going to be a really busy month.
Up and going,
Yeah, so thank you.
this is a small city.
Good evening. The storms from September 20th created quite a few issues throughout town because of the vast fierceness of those storms. So my team had to make repairs to washouts around town in 15 different locations. So they've been working on that. Additionally, they had water main break issues to try to help and sort out. They've installed, repaired stop signs at Chase, Schooner Way, and Tyrone Place. It seems to have been the last couple of months for hitting stop signs, and they're always they never hit the normal plain inexpensive ones. They always hit the decorative ones. In addition, down Old Dirt Main by the pedestrian bridge, that was the area I said in the previous storm to September 20th, we had some issues. So we have gone down there and dug out a new drain and a crossover to kind of reroute stormwater into a catch basin, as John puts it. So the team worked on that while I was gone. And then per a resident concern, we had to reposition the detour sign at 9th and Oakdale. In addition, at 9th and Oakdale, which also hit pretty hard in September 20th, we did some additional digging of the stormwater swales over there as well. In addition, we ordered paver base, which is the new base that we're using for the roads and works really well. We had to use paver base at 7th, 9th, and 10th, and also to repair some ruts at First Avenue. So the team's been working on that. You should have seen them out with the tractors working on that stuff. I've got some line of sight trimming. The team does not like it when I go different routes into work in the morning because then I report line of sight issues and they got to go trim them. So they had several of those to do in the last couple of weeks. And then Parks and Recreation, we were replacing tennis courts and Lake Bessie locks. So Paulette's been pretty busy having to do boat ramp keys in the last couple of weeks, as well as tennis court keys. So I'd like to give a shout out to her for handling that. It can be pretty busy. And then the team has continued with their normal standard routine duties in and around all these extra projects that they've been working on. So that's my report. Oh, one thing I do want to mention. Mike Galore is gone, but he has finished the draft of the stormwater management plan. We will have a public information meeting virtually on that on November 6th so that we can preview that to any residents that are interested and take questions at that time.
On the boat ramp codes, if we got one in the original bunch, is that still good, or is there going to be a new one?
No, you don't need to get a new code because we'll be able to address any inappropriate activity with those codes. So you don't have to change that every year.
Thank you very much. I love that paper base. I think it works really well. It seems to hold up.
It really does.
Counselor?
Hi. So you should have all gotten a email today from Summer. If you haven't seen it yet, if you could just pick a time where she can meet with you about your potential deposition. There's we spent some kind of link on there, which I didn't see before. So yeah, that's better. And then Councilmember Rose will miss you very much. That long range planning does not have financial disclosure requirements.
Yeah, I know that.
I don't have anything else.
I think I give you a month off.
A whole month?
2 weeks? 2 weeks?
All right, 2 weeks.
I don't have much, but again, Councilwoman Road would certainly appreciate your time and what you meant to the department and everybody there. You'll be close by, and there's gonna be a whole bunch of we've been doing a lot of time on transition training in the last 3 weeks, so we'll finish up next week. I think Councilman, person data, you were asking about that, so I'll give you the afterwards one. Come and witness some of that next week. We're still in the process of our hiring. Just kind of as an example, for every probably 15-ish people that we get, I'd say about 80% of those are mixed right off the bat. We have 2 that have come pretty close. We mix them as well, so we're still in that search now. We want to make sure it's the right person. Everybody's already covered all the different events that are coming up, except for October 25th. Any of the council persons have not, or you want to review your photographic professional photo, we're having that down at Police Department, so just make sure you get on there. And I'll be sending something out probably tomorrow or the next day with additional training. We're doing some big active shooter training at the church. That's going to happen on the 7th and the 18th, and actually we're going to need some assistance. These kind of systems with role players and things like that. So we'll fill that up, so I'll send something out tomorrow if you have some time. You know, let's throw it, you can have some time right now, maybe come in and be a role player. That would be, thank you.
So you will,
Yeah. You know, fill anything out for that.
Chief, that's in 14.
14, I'm sorry, I'll send out an tomorrow, send it in the 14.
Screaming comes forth.
Bring a friend. Bring a friend, yes.
Yeah, I have a few things. We have elections that will be coming up in March. Qualifying opens November 10th and closes December 11th. It is the mayor's seat and 2 council member seats. That's what we have. And, I was at the farmer's market last week and ran into Chris Sapp. I just wanted to let y'all know about the, we're gonna put it out on the media, he's gonna put the thing together about local pantries that are in need, and there's a list, so we're gonna start. Wanting to get started in the admin office, we're gonna put a box out in the lobby, but we will post this as well. And it is going to go to local charities, the main one is Matthew's Hope, that all the donations will go to. So I just did it as a, oh, I hope Chris, and talk to the girls in the office, and they're like, oh, okay, and then Dr. Robin. We'll just make it just a big line, so if anybody wants to, once you see the list, if you wanna drop anything off, there'll be a box in the front. And it's been a pleasure working with you, Ms. Rose, for many years, through many committees and boards. I know we'll see you. You won't be done.
And Mayor, we will send out a memo, letting you know what the steps are, for the selection of not a replacement, but a seat filler for, this Councilwoman Rose, until the elections in March.
also any, or Brad, any updates on the Fifth Avenue project of note?
Yes.
Yeah, across the.
You may notice that sometimes it's wrong. So the contractor for the project, the exact already submitted permitting for demo and building permits, but we still don't have the site permit issued yet. So they're still in the process of doing whatever it is they have left to do on the other permitting outside of the town. Actually, Dorothy asked, I had anticipated, Mr. Vick had told me that it would have been submitted to us last week. It hasn't been submitted to us yet. What the next step will happen once he does submit us the final 100% engineering with all the other approvals, also the signed development agreement. To make sure everything's okay, then we need to do a pre-construction meeting with them out there. Because they do have to, they are aware of this, they have to have all the silt fences in, the screening, as well as all the tree protections. Prior to them doing anything on that site. So it is moving forward. I anticipate by the end of next week, should have something. I'll keep Robert advised. So that,
When would we potentially, we want to do this, but just like you're building a business plan, when would we possibly be looking at demo?
if what I think will happen by the end of this month.
You know, people ask, so
Yes.
it's always good to have a little bit of knowledge for you guys. You know, you can look at it. Right.
Does anybody know what's going in on the other corner? You know, like,
I don't.
Some people are moving over. That not the case, but we not know.
I've heard a couple things. But so, and actually, I'll tell you, they did submit, the information, some trees are gonna be coming down on that property. You may notice they've got a tag already, they did do an arborist report, and so the 2 trees at the driveway on 6th Avenue. Those will be coming down, and there's 4 trees on the back side of the, park, but, they are required to either replace the trees or pay an $11,000 tree mitigation fee. I'm waiting to hear back from them, which is what they're gonna do. I asked them not to do it at the same time. The work across the street. I think that would be a good idea. Only person that I've talked to about going in there is there's a company that I guess ride design for the Universal and Disney based out of Canada. And what the gentleman told me, they have offices over by the Florida Mall. I'm not exactly sure who it is. And they were looking to move here because they all live over here. And, they first asked me about the 500 block, and then I told them about that building, so I know they were looking at that building, but I don't know. If they're actually. The ones.
Moving a bunch of trees.
We're also gonna do some more, we're gonna re-landscape the property as well, so after that, landscape.
Good. All right, let us know if you hear anything additional.
Yes, sir.
I have one thing.
Anything else for the good of the order? Oh,
Yes.
everything. There you go. Yes, more.
This Rose, I don't have any, so I guess this just speaks on it. The resignation. Effective when? Oh.
This evening.
Could have just let us know, and never know.
All right, that was like a big thing. Oh, she was done. All right. There's nothing else for the good of the order. We will close our meeting here in town council meeting at 7:30 p.m.